He was just an average guy until the school's most perfect girl made him her personal slave. But it gets weirder. She controls time by removing her underwear. Yeah, you heard that right, and this is only the beginning. The story begins by introducing Takamine, a girl who's extremely popular throughout her school. She excels at everything, academics, sports, and more. If the school were to be ranked, she would easily come out as #1. This information is shared by a boy named Shirota Koshi. He's just an average student. While Takamine is adored by everyone in the class, Shirota is the complete opposite. Hardly anyone notices him, apart from a few friends. All of this is being narrated from Shirota's point of view. He mentions that the only thing he shares in common with Takamine is that they've been classmates since the beginning. Despite that, he had never talked to her. But everything changed one day. We go back in time, where Shirota finds himself in a situation where he is somehow above Takamine. It feels like a dream to him. Standing in front of him is what he describes as an angel. Even more surprisingly, Takamine is smiling at him. The story then moves to how such a strange situation even came to be, how Shirota and Takamine got so close. It's also revealed that Takamine is the student council president. Later, Shirota is shown sitting in the school's storeroom. He's clearly nervous because the math exam is coming up and he hasn't prepared at all. Suddenly, Takamine enters the storeroom. Without realizing Shirota is there, she starts changing her clothes. Shirota hides, trying to process what's happening. The most beautiful girl in the entire school is changing in front of him. He covers his eyes in panic, but clearly, he's tempted to peek. Unable to resist, he glances at her. Afterward, he's overwhelmed by what he just saw and tries to shake the thought from his mind. Back in class, he can't stop thinking about it and keeps glancing at Takamine. The teacher walks in to announce the exam results. Shirota receives 52 marks, which is a surprisingly good result for him. He feels happy. Then it's Takamine's turn. The teacher announces she didn't get a full score this time. She got 98. The class erupts in murmurs, wondering how 2 marks got deducted. For everyone, this seems like a massive deal. Takamine apologizes to the teacher and begins doing something unexpected. Shirota watches her, stunned. Their eyes meet. A butterfly is shown flying in slow motion, and a clock is displayed ticking. Suddenly, the scene jumps to the moment when Shirota receives his mark sheet again. He starts questioning everything, wondering if what he just experienced was all a dream. He checks his results and confirms he did get 52 marks. He looks over to see how many marks Takamine got and expects 98, but the teacher says she scored a perfect 100. Shirota is left confused, unable to understand if it was all real or not. Despite the confusion, he feels it was a good day. He got decent marks and even saw Takamine changing clothes. Later, Shirota visits the student council room to talk to Takamine. He asks her if she really got 98 marks in math. This shocks Takamine. She wonders how Shirota knows that and asks if he has told anyone else about it. After the test, Takamine seemed furious and stormed toward Shirota. Naturally, Shirota was terrified, his whole body trembling with anxiety. But to his surprise, Takamine wasn't actually angry about the test. She simply wanted to confront him about something. She suspected that Shirota had seen her changing clothes in the storeroom and wanted the truth. Shirota was frozen in fear. Then suddenly, the tension broke when Takamine revealed she was only joking, trying to scare him for fun. She invited him to sit and talk for a bit, even asking if he wanted some water. Nervously, Shirota accepted, still shaken by the situation and overwhelmed by the rare opportunity to spend time with her. In his nervousness, his hands fumbled and he accidentally spilled the water. Thankfully, the spill didn't land on Takamine. She stepped aside just in time. She teased him for the clumsiness, implying he might have had some sneaky motive to get her wet just so he could watch her change again. Despite staying dry, Takamine began undressing. Shirota, in complete panic, couldn't comprehend what was happening. But just as the situation reached its peak, time seemed to rewind. A butterfly flew across the scene toward a clock, and the entire moment reset. This time, when Shirota spilled the water, it actually landed on Takamine. Now wet, she said she needed to change. But instead of asking him to leave, she simply turned around and told him to look away. She even handed him her wet clothes and asked him to clean them. Shirota, still confused and scared, tried his best to help, but while doing so, Takamine suddenly kicked him hard. She accused him of touching her inappropriately, even though he had just been following her instructions. After that, she began talking about the water and how she'd already touched it earlier. This led her to believe something strange was happening with time and memory. According to her, under normal circumstances, people would forget everything after a time reset. But Shirota was remembering everything. She concluded that there must be something unique about him. Either he wasn't affected by the resets, or something else was going on entirely. She began to explain more about her ability, an unusual power she'd possessed since 5th grade. Whenever she made a mistake, her power would activate, allowing time to shift between past and future moments. She bragged about being exceptional, claiming that her drive to be number one is what earned her the power in the first place. Shirota, meanwhile, was overwhelmed and confused by everything, especially her frequent self-praise. But then came the most bizarre revelation of all. Takamine revealed that in order to activate her ability, she had to remove her underwear. It wasn't something she liked sharing, but she insisted it was important. Because of this, she always carried extra underwear with her, just in case. At this point, Takamine begins explaining that Shirota has not only discovered her ability, but also seems capable of using it himself. Since he doesn't forget anything after a time reset, she makes a bold decision. From now on, she will make him her personal slave. Shirota is absolutely shocked by this sudden declaration, but to be honest, there wasn't really anything too troubling about becoming her slave. He even admits, perhaps with a little guilt, that the idea didn't sound all that bad, and to the viewers, the narrator requests not to judge him too harshly in the comments. Still, Shirota declines her offer, saying he needs to go home and apologizes. As he turns to leave, Takamine urges him to think it through. She reminds him that this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance, and walking away from it might be a big mistake. Even though Shirota agrees the opportunity sounds tempting, he still chooses to walk away. But as he tries to leave, Takamine suddenly grabs his hand, pulling him back. Because of this, Shirota ends up falling right on top of her. This finally brings us back to the scene shown at the very beginning, where Shirota was on top of Takamine. Naturally, he panics, but Takamine calmly tells him there's no need to be afraid. He can do whatever he wants if he agrees to become her slave. It was her way of offering a reward. Shirota starts feeling strangely happy in that moment. After all, things like this don't just happen for free. But before the situation could go any further, Takamine suddenly screams. The classroom door bursts open and several students rush in. The boys immediately grab Shirota, and the girls, without a second thought, call the police, claiming that their class president is being harassed. To make things worse, Takamine pretends to be the victim. She accuses Shirota of bothering her and starts saying all sorts of things that make him look guilty. It's a total setup, but the smirk on her face says it all. She planned this from the start. Her goal was to trap Shirota, and he had walked right into it. Now the police have arrived, and Shirota feels like his life is over. Just as everything seems lost, Takamine gives him one last chance. She offers him a choice. To accept her offer and still become her slave, Shirota realizes he has no other option left. He begs for forgiveness, asking Takamine to reconsider. She checks to make sure he's serious, and when she sees his desperate expression, she believes him. And then, just like before, a butterfly appears, the alarm rings, and the clock is shown. Time resets once again. We're brought back to the moment where Shirota and Takamine were having a conversation, but this time, everything is different. Shirota has officially become Takamine's slave, but instead of being happy, he regrets everything. He wishes he had just gone home instead of visiting the student council room. If he had done that, none of this would have happened. Soon, the two of them get into an argument. Takamine warns him that challenging her is a mistake. He already knows the consequences. Shirota quickly apologizes again. Then, Takamine tells him that it's time for his first job. She instructs him to put a collar on her. Hearing this, Shirota panics, saying he doesn't want to do it. But in Takamina's world, the word no doesn't exist. She tells him to check the bag. He'll find the collar there. Eventually, Shirota does what he's told and puts the collar on her. Takamine then points out that he always closes his eyes during these moments. She teases him, reminding him that he also shut his eyes last time. But she ends by saying that he actually looks pretty cute when he's flustered. Next day, inside the student council president's office, where Takumi and Shirota are alone together. They're sitting pretty close, almost too close. Takumi is holding Shirota's hand and looking into his eyes, telling him, "You're my servant now. You can do whatever you want." Shirota's heart was racing like crazy. Takamine was staring at him with such intensity and affection, it made the moment even more nerve-wracking. But just when it felt like something major was about to happen, a bunch of police officers stormed in and surrounded them. They immediately grabbed Shirota again, and right then Takamine changed completely, putting on a totally composed and innocent act. She even smiled sweetly as if nothing was going on. And then Shirota wakes up. It was all just a dream. Suddenly, he gets a message on his phone from Takumi. It simply says, "Don't be late for school." Seeing her message and photo, Shirota completely freaks out, blushing and panicking all over again. Next, we see him walking to school. He looks super anxious, still haunted by last night's dream. As he walks, Takamine suddenly appears behind him. Everyone around greets her with cheerful good mornings, and she returns the greetings kindly, smiling at everyone. Shirota, meanwhile, is struggling to keep calm. He's staring at Takamine, thinking to himself, "The girl I thought I had feelings for. She turned out to be my nightmare in one night." He's deep in thought when suddenly Takamine walks up to talk to him. Everyone around is shocked. How could someone like Takamine be casually approaching Shirota? Shirota notices the attention, and before he can say anything, Takamine leans in and whispers in his ear, telling him to come to the student council room. In the next scene, Shirota's in the council room with her. He asks what she wants, and Takamine casually replies that she doesn't have any specific work for him. Now that they're partners, she says, they should get to know each other better. Shirota, flustered and frustrated, starts yelling that they're not partners. She forced him into this. It feels more like he's her slave than anything else. But then Takamine hands him a bag. Curious, Shirota opens it and is shocked to see it's full of her underwear. She explains, completely serious, that he's now in charge of managing her wardrobe. Whenever she needs them, he'll be the one to bring them to her. Shirota is stunned, asking if he really has to carry them around all the time. Takamine explains further, when she activates her ability, he'll need to be ready to help her change on the spot. Shirota blurts out, "Isn't that totally insane?" But she calmly reassures him, saying she'll only use the ability once or twice during class. If there's an emergency though, she might use it anytime. But still, he shouldn't worry too much. They continue talking, and Takamine reminds him in a serious tone, if he doesn't do his job properly, he knows what'll happen. That makes Shirota flash back to when the police drag him away. It terrifies him. He tells her not to worry, he'll do everything just right. Takamine, pleased, says that if he works hard, he'll get rewarded too. Then suddenly she pushes him down and sits on top of him. Shirota completely panics. Eyes shut tight, he pleads, "Please, don't call the police again. I'll do everything you say. Just don't scare me like that." Takamine, in a rare moment of softness, tells him not to worry. She admits that even she finds these situations kind of embarrassing, but when Shirota is around, somehow it doesn't feel that bad. That completely surprises Shirota, and he promises he won't disappoint her. He quickly gets up and says he needs to head to class. Takamine nods and reminds him to return the bag after school. Don't even think about taking it home. Shirota says he understands and heads out. As he leaves, Takamine smiles to herself, watching him go. Then we cut to the classroom where the teacher is reading out a poem. They ask the class to explain it. Shirota, still thinking about Takamine, figures she'll probably nail it effortlessly. Sure enough, Takamine starts explaining the poem, and her voice is so soft and elegant that the other students start whispering to each other. Her voice is seriously beautiful. After that, Shirota looks at her and can't help but think, she's not just beautiful, she's insanely smart too. Honestly, she's pretty much perfect. She doesn't even need to rely on her abilities. Just then, a strong wind suddenly blows through the classroom. Takamine slowly rises from her seat and says to herself, "I knew it. I knew I'd have to do this again. It's time to use my ability once more." Shirote is surprised and thinks, but she already recited a poem that was absolutely flawless. Takamine then starts taking off her jacket, casually saying, "Yeah, it was perfect, but it could have been even better." Suddenly, we see butterflies fluttering across the scene, followed by the alarm clock. Time rewinds again, bringing us back to that same moment when the teacher asked the class, "Who wants to explain this?" Takamine steps forward once more and begins reciting the poem again, but this time, it's on a completely different level. It's like every single word is alive. Every student in the class feels like they're inside the poem, as if they're part of the story itself. By the time the poem ends, Shirote doesn't even realize it. The whole class breaks into loud applause, stunned by what they just experienced. Shirote thinks to himself, "What kind of girl is this? How can someone be so perfect?" Takamine turns to him with a sweet smile, and even she's thinking, that second time, it was better than the first. She was trying to say, yeah, it was perfect, but it wasn't the best I could do. Realizing this, Shirote is shocked. He begins wondering, wait, does that mean she can keep doing this, using her ability again and again like that? Right then, Takamine throws a piece of paper at him and says casually, "All right, now get back to your work." Shirote snaps out of his thoughts. He had completely forgotten about the task he was supposed to be doing. How the heck am I supposed to put that belt on her, in front of the whole class? He's freaking out, totally unsure about what to do next. Takamine keeps pointing at him from her seat, motioning for him to hurry up. She's even starting to act all playful and mischievous. Then, she loudly asks, "Hey Shiro, can you hand me the eraser?" He glances over and sees the eraser on the floor near her feet. As he walks toward her, he thinks again, wow, Takamine really is a genius. And he realizes, I have no other choice. I have to do this. If I mess up, she might end up in jail again. His brain is racing, but he finally makes up his mind. Pretending to pick up the eraser, he secretly grabs the belt from his pocket and heads toward her. Takamine flashes a soft smile. She's clearly ready for it. As Shirote kneels down to put the belt on her, his face goes red with embarrassment, but somehow he manages to do it. Finally, it's done. He returns to his seat, heart pounding in his chest. He's thinking, I actually did it. I really did it. He's grinning to himself, feeling proud and relieved. Then the teacher starts handing out the answer sheets and says, I'll call your names one by one. Come up to collect your sheet. Shiro gulps and thinks, here we go again. Another long, painful day. Right at that moment, Shirote glanced at Takamine and realized something horrifying. He hadn't tied her ribbon properly. A wave of panic washed over him as he imagined the worst. If the teacher called Takamine up and she walked, the ribbon could come undone and fall off in front of the entire class. The thought alone made him freeze. Everyone would be shocked, and Takamine would be humiliated. Takamine, on the other hand, turned toward Shirote with teary eyes. Her expression asked the unspoken question, why did he let this happen? Shirote's thoughts were spiraling. He remembered the time when the police officer had nearly caught him, and it hit him that if anything went wrong again, he might get into serious trouble. He desperately needed to fix the situation before it exploded. His mind went blank at first, but then an idea struck. When the teacher called for Takamine's paper, Shirote decided that he would go up instead of her. That way, she wouldn't have to get up and risk the ribbon slipping. He also recalled something Takamine once told him, that if anyone else saw her using her ability, it made her feel embarrassed. But when he was the one watching, she felt fine. The moment Takamine's name was called, Shirote immediately stood up and walked over to the teacher. The teacher seemed confused at first, but then casually handed him both his and Takamine's answer sheets, thinking it was no big deal. Seeing all this, Takamine couldn't help but smile. When Shirote returned, she silently thanked him. Shirote responded without hesitation, saying there was no need for thanks. In his mind, he was just doing what he was supposed to. He considered himself her servant, after all. As he turned to walk away, Takamine suddenly grabbed his leg, stopping him. She reminded him that his job wasn't done yet. The ribbon still needed to be fixed properly. Shirota panicked, knowing they were in the middle of a classroom full of students. He couldn't believe she was asking him to do that in front of everyone. But Takamine calmly pointed out that he didn't have any other option. So, with no choice left, Shirota bent down and carefully adjusted the ribbon. Takamine's face began to twist into an awkward and flustered expression. Shirota asked if she was okay or if something had gone wrong, but she stayed silent, cheeks red with embarrassment. Later, in the student council room, Shirota finally let out his frustration. He told her not to make him do stuff like that again. Takamine simply said that she had been testing him, just to see how he would react in a tough situation. Then, she genuinely apologized and admitted that she trusted him completely. She believed he would never do anything wrong. Still curious, Takamine asked why he had tried to protect her like that. Why had he gone out of his way to help? Why did he fix the ribbon so properly, even in that awkward situation? Shirota didn't answer at first. Takamine began wondering if it had something to do with what she had told him earlier, that she never wanted anyone else to see her underwear. Was that the reason he had rushed to protect her? Internally, Shirota was freaking out, wondering how she figured it out. But on the outside, he stayed calm and said nothing, pretending he had no clue. He just said he helped her because he didn't want to get dragged into trouble with the police again. Takamine didn't completely believe him, but she appreciated his effort nonetheless. She thanked him sincerely and said that if he was trying to make her happy, then she was genuinely grateful. The next day, the teacher tasks Takamine with collecting everyone's assignments. As always, she handles it effortlessly. On her way to turn them in, a group of classmates approaches her, offering to help. From a distance, Shirota observes the scene, quietly impressed by how effortlessly popular she is. To his surprise, Takamine turns and calls out to him, saying she could use some help. Without hesitation, she chooses him out of everyone, and as she does, her butterfly-like ability activates, ushering in a vivid flashback. In that memory, students once again volunteer to help her. Shirota recalls her warning from the past. If he wanted to help, he had to do everything she said. Motivated by that moment, he walks up to her and offers his assistance. She accepts with a smile, but not without a playful warning not to mess up next time. Shirota ends up by her side, nervously apologizing again and again. Internally, he starts to notice a pattern. While everyone wants to be by her side, it's always him she chooses. Later, as she prepares to head out again, another crowd forms. This time, even members of the baseball club are eager to lend a hand. Shirota watches in disbelief as she chats casually with the club president, feeling more out of place than ever. But then, she turns to him once more, asking what he does whenever she's given a task. He replies without hesitation that he follows her and helps. She nods with satisfaction, calling it the right answer. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. Tension starts to build between them. It gets just a little too intense to keep things strictly PG, so that part gets a fast forward. Afterward, Shirota, still flustered, asks if it's difficult rejecting so many people who want to help her. Takamine answers with pride. She sees herself as the perfect president and believes in handling everything on her own. She even boasts that she knows every student's name and face, because if everyone knows her, she should know them too. She adds almost challengingly that no one in the world should be better than her. Shirota can't help but feel a mix of admiration and envy toward her confidence and dedication. But then Takamine shifts the focus back to him. She starts listing all of his academic weaknesses, subject by subject. Embarrassed, Shirota begs her to stop. When he questions whether she really knows personal details about every student, she flips the question on him, asking if he's accusing her of singling him out. Her teasing continues, hitting him with even more facts. Out of nowhere, she asks what he really thinks of her. Caught off guard and blushing, Shirota tries to walk away without answering. That's when she kicks him playfully and demands to know what he'd do if given the chance to do anything right now. She leans in, closing the space between them, and the moment turns intense. She even begins to unbutton her shirt, leaving Shirota panicking, unsure if it's a joke or something more serious. He stops her quickly, suggesting that kind of thing should wait until they're actually together. She bursts into laughter, revealing it was all a prank to see how he'd react. Then, casually, she asks if he ever imagined the two of them dating. Shirota admits that idea had never once crossed his mind. As they walk down the stairs together, Shirota slips and falls, landing right on top of her. The screen fades, and when it returns, Shirota wakes up in the nurse's office, his head resting on Takamina's lap. She gently explains that he took a nasty fall, but she used her ability to help him recover. After what happened earlier, it's fair to say Shirota was lucky. Or maybe Takamine was the one who saved him. Either way, he quietly feels thankful. She lets him rest on her legs and tells him to take it easy for a while. Even though she jokes that he's a coward and kind of useless, she also admits he's honest. Painfully honest. Strangely enough, those words make Shirota blush. Maybe because, for once, someone sees him fully and still stays. Later, it's time for gym class. The plan was to run laps, but class has already ended and most students are gone. Shirota feels a little down about it. He had wanted to participate, maybe even push himself a bit. Even having one other person to run with would have been enough. Then, out of nowhere, Takamine announces she'll be holding an extra gym session. She plans to teach him herself, even help correct his terrible running form. Naturally, the other guys cheer when they hear this, but Shirota just braces himself. The training begins. While others perform decently, Shirota struggles like always. Takamine watches him with disbelief, wondering how someone can run that badly. She's critical but determined to fix it. She gets close, too close, and tells him he has to finish the race in under 30 minutes. Flustered but determined, Shirota agrees. Then she activates her strange, butterfly-like ability again. There's a flash of memory, a return to the starting point. Like time rewound, the scene resets. Once again, Takamine tells him to finish the run within 30 minutes, this time with even more urgency. Scared but committed, Shirota starts running. He gets tired quickly, overwhelmed by how far he still has to go. But behind him, Takamine follows on a bicycle, cheering everyone on. That's when Shirota notices something. She isn't wearing her knee strap. She must have taken it off when she used her ability. That's when Shirota breaks the fourth wall, almost like he's talking directly to us. I'm not letting anyone see her like this. Determined to protect her image and keep her secret, he runs harder than ever before. Fueled by something deeper than just fitness, he pushes past exhaustion and actually finishes the race in under 30 minutes. For the first time, he's the clear winner. Later, Takamine explains she followed on the bike to make sure no one got hurt. When she asks how he feels about it, he simply says he's exhausted, but proud. He didn't think he could finish that run, but he did. That small win means everything. But Takamine isn't done. She points out he not only finished first, he also finished within the time limit. She knows he noticed her missing knee strap, so now she wants him to admit it. Shirota admits he saw it, but didn't want anyone else to find out. He just wanted to protect her. That's all, and that alone makes him feel happy. Takamine smiles at his answer, pleased. Then she casually says she's heading home and that he should too. Back home, Shirota realizes he accidentally brought Takamine's bag with her, knee strap in it. He tells himself he'll return it tomorrow at school, but just as he's about to open the bag out of curiosity, her phone call stops him. She casually asks if he forgot anything. He instantly apologizes, and she cuts the call short after letting him know she only has one strap for gym class. Now alone with the bag, Shirota sits there, realizing she's going to need it back, and maybe, deep down, she knows he'll bring it. After that, Takamine was about to leave, but then a thought struck her. What if this was all just a test for Shirota? Sure, she often needed his help at school, but now, even at home? That seemed a bit suspicious. Shirota started second-guessing everything. He decided not to go to her place, thinking it was best to stay out of it. But suddenly, Takamine sent him a photo. She was out for a run, and shockingly, she wasn't wearing anything underneath her workout gear. Shirota completely froze. His mind spiraled. Was this for real? What was he supposed to do? Then, more photos started coming in. Again, she was working out, wearing almost nothing. She casually mentioned that it was fine if he didn't want to come over, but the photos kept coming, and Shirot got even more anxious. In one of the pictures, he noticed something alarming. A shady-looking guy in the background was staring at Takamine in a really creepy way. That's when real concern kicked in. Maybe she did need his help after all. Even if she didn't ask for it directly, she might be in danger. Cut to Takamine sitting alone at the park, looking a bit disappointed. It seemed like she thought Shirot wasn't going to show up. But just when she had given up hope, he arrived. Her eyes widened in surprise. She hadn't expected him to actually come. Although she acted all cool and teased him a bit, it was clear she was happy, and when Shirot explained that he came out of genuine concern for her safety, her teasing stopped. She turned away, a little flustered, and thanked him softly. From that moment on, their conversation turned more personal. Takamine started opening up, sharing secrets she hadn't told anyone else. And Shirot realized something. He was the only one who knew this side of her. That made him feel special. He began to wonder, maybe he wanted to be there. Not just out of concern, but because deep down, he really wanted to see her. And as if reading his mind, Takamine admitted the same. She said that maybe Shirot cared more than he let on. Finally, she grabbed her bag, still blushing, and the two of them started walking home together. It was a quiet moment, but it spoke volumes about how much closer they had gotten. Next, we see Takamine participating in a swimming race. She dominates the competition effortlessly, winning with grace and power. Everyone around her is in awe, showering her with praise for her performance. But one observer, Shirot, is deep in thought. He realizes she was up against athletes trained abroad, yet she still won with ease. That alone says something extraordinary about her. Despite the victory, Takamine doesn't seem fully satisfied. Using her mysterious ability, she rewinds time and returns to the starting line. This time, she swims backward, literally. The crowd is stunned, and so is Shirot. He can't help but admire her form and physique, captivated more by her than the race itself. Once again, she wins, and the praise continues. After the race, she approaches Shirot, teasing him for not asking why she used her ability again. She reveals that she already knew she'd win, so she wanted to leave a bigger impression. Shirot, still flustered, is clearly not thinking about the competition at all. He's distracted, and it shows. Later, Takamine invites Shirot to go shopping with her. He doesn't understand why he was brought along until she starts trying on outfits and asking for his opinion. Naturally, he gets embarrassed, turning away nervously as she picks out bold options. She enjoys teasing him, especially when he fumbles over trying to help her choose a pair of pants. Every option he picks leads him to imagine her wearing it, and his mind clearly starts to wander. She even pulls him into the fitting area, catching him completely off guard. She casually points out that she's not wearing anything under the black piece she already has on. Shirot, overwhelmed, struggles to help her put on the pants properly. His focus is completely shattered, and he ends up fainting from embarrassment. As the day turns to evening, Takamine playfully mocks how shy he is. Shirot apologizes, feeling a bit humiliated. She then presses him about why he picked the blue pants. After hesitating, he explains that he associated her with the sky, strong, unreachable, and ever-present, so he felt blue suited her. Even he's surprised he said something so sincere. Takamine, without saying much, simply walks off. Shirot panics, unsure if he said something wrong, but then we see her smiling, genuinely happy. She tells him that next time, she's definitely bringing him shopping again. He can't believe it and pleads with her not to tease him so much. The next day at school, Shirot catches a cold. After classes, he's heading home when he suddenly loses balance, but Takamine is there to catch him. Concerned, she decides to accompany him home. Once there, she comments on how small and humble his place is. She even checks his computer, jokingly expecting to find something suspicious, but everything's clean. Shirot, exasperated, tries to defend himself. Then she casually wonders if he's hiding anything in secret folders. He quickly shuts his laptop, annoyed, asking if this is why she came over. Takamine replies that it's important to know how he thinks, since it might affect her life too. Then she announces that for today, she's his nurse and plans to take care of him. She questions his eating habits, and when Shirot admits he doesn't always eat well, she says she'll cook for him. He tries to stop her, but she insists. As she heads to the kitchen, she jokingly wonders if she should wear just an apron while cooking. That mental image alone sends Shirot into a spiral. Takamine spends time helping out, cooking, cleaning, and even telling him to rest properly. While she's having fun teasing him, Shirot begs her to take it easy since he's not feeling well. Eventually, he tells her she should go home so he can rest, and she doesn't catch his cold. Takamine, impressed, says that's a solid point, maybe she was getting a bit too carried away. After that, she uses her ability again. Suddenly, Shirot is transported back in time, back to a quiet moment when Takamine had prepared a meal for him. She'd even left a warm towel beside it just in case he needed comfort. The care she put into everything was obvious. As Shirot eats, he's overwhelmed, not just by how good the food is, but by the memories it brings back. He finds himself recalling countless little moments with Takamine. As he lies in bed afterward, still deep in thought, Takamine quietly enters the room to check on him. She sees he's eaten and asks how he's feeling. Without waiting for an answer, she climbs into bed beside him, completely catching him off guard. Takamine believes that by staying close to him, sharing her warmth, she can help speed up his recovery. Once again, she taps into her ability and then casually brings up a past incident in their PE class. She'd used a scent patch to mask her sweat, worried the smell might have made Shirot sick, but Shirot brushes that idea off. Takamine teases him lightly, but ultimately she lies down close, saying he should imagine her as a warm bowl of water beside him, helping him feel better. But for Shirot, trying to imagine anything is nearly impossible, with the school's most admired girl resting just inches away. He's still struggling to keep his composure. As she settles in, Takamine opens up. She quietly admits that maybe she crossed some lines while trying to help him and softly apologizes. Then, she gently pulls him even closer, assuring him he doesn't need to worry about anything else. She'll stay by his side until he recovers. This moment makes Shirot think more deeply about her. To the rest of the school, Takamine is practically untouchable, a goddess-like figure, the class president, admired by everyone. But Shirot begins to realize something. Beneath that perfect image is just another human being. Someone with feelings, doubts, and care she doesn't easily show. As Shirot finally begins to relax and doze off, he asks her one last question. Why is she helping him so much? She's stunned. She tries to answer, but stops herself. Before she can say anything, she realizes Shirot has already fallen asleep. Later, as she heads home, she sees a few kids playing nearby. That sight triggers old memories of her childhood when no one wanted to play with her. She was often alone, and one day during those lonely walks back home, she had come across a stray cat. She fed it, and then, unexpectedly, a boy appeared. He looked just like Shirot. He had brought milk for the cat, too, and together they shared a quiet, meaningful moment. Back in the present, that same cat is still with her. It walks beside her as she returns home. Meanwhile, Shirot wakes up in the middle of the night. His fever still hasn't gone down, but when he checks the table, he sees food Takamine had prepared in advance. As he eats, he can't help but blush, thinking about her again, about everything she did and everything she said. And with that, this episode comes to an end. Shirot hasn't completed his assignment yet because he assumed it was due after the summer break. But to his surprise, he finds out it's actually due earlier. Takamine offers to help him after lunch, but only if he agrees to act like a dog in front of her. Shirot refuses right away, saying he's not doing anything like that. Takamine warns him that skipping the assignment will affect his grades. Shirot responds confidently, saying he doesn't need help. If he puts in a bit more effort, he can finish the assignment on his own. But then Takamine reminds him that he's her servant, and after a few more persuasive comments, Shirot finally gives in. The scene then shifts to the classroom, where Shirot is busy working on his assignment. While writing, he reflects on how often Takamine uses her powers, sometimes even 10 times in a row. At that moment, Takamine is called to the board by the teacher to solve a problem. She solves it flawlessly, impressing everyone in class. Shirot also admires her silently. Later, a girl compliments Takamine, thanking her for the advice to gift her boyfriend a smartwatch. However, she also mentions that the version she gifted him was outdated. There's already a newer version available. Shirot overhears this and again fears Takamine might use her powers, but once again, she restrains herself. She calmly suggests the girl exchange the watch instead. The girl thanks her and walks away. Shirot is surprised by how many times Takamine resists using her powers. He realizes it must be draining her, and it makes him more concerned. After school, Shirot sees Takamine looking exhausted. He walks up to her, and she immediately scolds him for not finishing his assignment yet. She tells him he's way too slow and needs to work faster. Shirot apologizes, saying he knows she's not using her ability because of him. If she did, he'd have to redo the assignment. He then tells her she shouldn't hold back for his sake. She should just use her powers. Takamine brushes it off, saying she's not doing this for him. She simply feels it's a good day and wants to avoid using her powers. Then she jokingly says that if he really thinks she's holding back because of him, he's welcome to remove her patch and activate her ability. Shirot starts to think she's actually a nice person deep down. Takamine warns him if he uses her powers, he'll have to redo the assignment. Shitaka confidently says he doesn't mind. He's already done it once and can do it again easily. Hearing this, Takamine blushes slightly. Shirot reaches out to use her power, but nothing happens. Takamine reveals that she canceled her ability. She didn't want to feel like someone's slave. He is supposed to be her servant, not the other way around. Shirot feels happy, realizing Takamine actually cares about him. Then she brings up the extra summer homework, saying she'll help him study once break begins. When the summer break finally starts, Shirot visits Takamine's house to study. But truth be told, Shirot is terrible at studying. No matter how hard Takamine tries to explain things, he keeps getting them wrong. Out of frustration, she finally uses her power to help him learn faster. She even goes to make coffee for him. While she's gone, Shirot realizes no one else is home. Takamine's parents aren't there either. Even though Takamine is super intelligent, Shirot somehow keeps messing up his answers. So Takamine uses her powers again and again to make it easier for him to understand and give him more time. They study late into the night, and by the end, Shirot starts improving little by little. Takamine starts explaining that she knows exactly why he's doing all this. She believes he just wants a chance to stay the night at a pretty girl's house. However, she clarifies that they're not alone in the house. She warns him not to assume anything and reveals that she has a pet, her cat, and she just wants to spend some time with it. He goes to find her cat, but surprisingly can't find it anywhere. Shockingly, instead of the real cat showing up, Takamine returns, acting like a cat herself. She literally starts behaving like one. Honestly, she looks so cute that it was hard to take your eyes off her. Takamine then says she's doing all this because she wants to cheer him up and help him complete his assignment. Meanwhile, Shirot wonders if she's just trying to mess with him. He becomes so distracted that he can't focus on studying. Takamine continues acting like a cat, doing weird things and behaving playfully. She says she's bored and asks him to spend some time with her. She complains that even though she's doing so much for him, he's not paying any attention. She reminds him that cats hate being ignored and need attention. Shirot starts imagining strange things and blushes deeply. He tells her not to come near him and insists that he's fine. Takamine responds that she understands and won't disturb him anymore, but she's going to keep acting like a cat because she genuinely enjoys it. As night falls, Shirot finally finishes his assignment and thanks Takamine before heading out. But as soon as he steps outside, it starts raining heavily. Takamine stops him and says he should stay the night. She doesn't want him to catch a fever or cold because of the weather. Shirot agrees and says he'll sleep in the hallway, but Takamine refuses. She insists that he should sleep in the bedroom instead. She also offers to help with dinner and even wash his bag, but Shirot politely declines. Just then, Takamine's cat named Kuro finally appears. Shirot finds the cat adorable and starts playing with it. He even thinks about telling Takamine how cute the cat is. Takamine watches him, and hopes he might remember something from the past because of the cat, but nothing happens. Suddenly, the power goes out. To pass the time, they decide to play a game. Takamine suggests that they talk about their past, especially memories from elementary school. Shiro begins sharing stories and memories from that time. But as he speaks, Takamine doesn't seem to enjoy any of it. She looks bored, or maybe even irritated. She starts drinking an entire bottle of water, and just from that, Shiro can tell her mood has completely changed. She's angry. She then asks him if he has any more stories. Shiro continues sharing, but again, nothing he says impresses her. Shiro tries to dodge the conversation by saying he's going to take a shower, but before he can, Takamine heads in first. A few moments later, she comes out wrapped in nothing but a towel. The situation feels awkward, especially when she casually tells him that she's used up all the soap, so he won't be able to shower now. It becomes clear to Shiro that Takamine is deliberately teasing him. Still, she doesn't say much and quietly goes to bed. Standing there in silence, Shiro recalls a memory from his elementary school days. He remembers how he used to take care of a stray cat, and there was a girl who often helped him. Whenever it rained, the two of them would go to the park, bringing an umbrella and a towel to keep the cat warm. Hearing this memory, Takamine suddenly sits up, interested. Shiro continues the story, and Takamine listens intently. She tells him that these are the kinds of stories she wants to hear, and asks him to tell the rest properly. She then wonders why he never told her this before. Shiro explains that the girl suddenly stopped coming to the park, and eventually the cat disappeared as well. It became a painful memory for him, one he didn't want to hold on to. Takamine asks him what he would do if he ever met that girl again. Shiro, confused, replies that he doesn't think that's possible, and questions whether Takamine knows her. Just as Takamine is about to say something, a loud bolt of lightning strikes outside. She flinches in fear, and in the chaos, her towel slips off. Shiro turns bright red, completely flustered. When another bolt strikes, Takamine instinctively clings tightly to him. It's at that moment Shiro finally understands. She didn't want him to leave earlier because she's deeply afraid of the dark, and even more afraid of lightning. Takamine, still holding him, whispers that he must forget everything that happened. She says she needs to use her ability, but Shiro refuses. He tells her she can't use her powers on him because he never forgets anything. And with that, the episode comes to an end.